I'm currently leaving Ryde Marina, which is north of the Isle of Wight. Quite wavy, bit bumpy. Just motoring out at the moment. There's the marina. And I am heading over to the south of the Isle of Wight. And then I'm going to anchor up. Wow, these waves are pretty choppy. It's choppier than yesterday. Yesterday was super calm. I've got the front sail up. My goodness gracious. So now with both the sails up, main sail and front sail, we are like really sideways, crashing into the waves. I've had to put my sailing jacket on because as I'm getting further out to sea, it's just getting colder and colder. I'm not that far out, I mean land is just right there, but it's just noticeably more windy because, yeah, that's what happened. S. We'll call him Sam. Sam the yellow boy. I'm like a little kid in the park, I'm so excited. Oh, look at that one, look at that one. They're all just waves, but yeah. So we are heading east of the Isle of Wight, and then we're going to turn south in a minute. Yeah, I mean, things are kind of tipping all over the place, but I mean, I thought I had everything under control, like, I mean, in terms of strapping it all down properly, but it is what it is. But yeah, I've adjusted both the sails for speed reasons. That is the Ventnor, I believe it's called, or St. Lawrence. That's the south of the Isle of Wight. But wow, the seas, they just changed a lot. What I'm saying, they just got like crazier and crazier. Although anchored up, I was just going to go inside to like chill out and maybe try and figure out a way to make a hot chocolate. And like, as I was walking in, my kitchen supplies rolled off. This has all fallen during the day and stuff. I really need to get better with strapping things down properly and putting things away nicely, just in case, just for like a nice security measure. So if we rock around too much or whatever, then I can always just jump in there. But at least we're anchored up, you know? At least we're anchored up. It's much calmer now than it was earlier. There was things like flying all over the place. I couldn't even like walk through the boat. I was being like tossed around. It was mad, so I literally just got into bed, lay down, got in my sleeping bag, and then just thought like I have to wait until this like subsides by itself, which it did. It could come back in the middle of the night, but we'll see. I'm gonna get some sleep. It's currently, let's see, 2:18 AM. I fell asleep around 10 PM. And then I woke up at midnight, and those first 2 hours I just slept really well, but the sea was much calmer. And I don't know, ever since midnight it's just been getting choppier and choppier, so it's made the sleeping much more difficult, because every now and then I'll just like levitate off the bed for like a millisecond, and like it's quite a weird feeling. And obviously that's because the boat is just like rocked one side to the other. But I mean, there's the moon, you can see it there, out in the distance. Yeah, obviously very quiet, very peaceful. Well, I say peaceful, the part of me being rocked around, but it is what it is. I mean, like, you're basically at the hands of Mother Nature and her waves, so, you know, I chose to do this. I shouldn't be surprised that this was going to happen, but I mean, it could be way choppy, you know, it's not actually that bad, but it's just like, I just feel it, like, ooh. Hello again, it's 7 AM, or, no, half 7, 7:25 AM. I was up from I was up from 2 to like 4 a.m. and I wanted to basically get up at 4 a.m. to start sailing. But then I was up, I couldn't go to sleep because of all the rocking and stuff. It's much calmer now. So then I finally fell asleep at 4 a.m. and it's a very nice morning actually. Much nicer than yesterday's sky. Yesterday was quite cloudy, the waves are much bigger than this. So yeah, I'm glad we're safe, I'm glad we're alright. But yeah, for like 2 hours all I was doing was rocking and I couldn't even go to sleep and I couldn't relax. It was so stressful. Well, not stressful, I mean like I was safe, but it was just like being rocked about is kind of like, oh, I just want to go to sleep, you know. So I ended up sleeping the last 3.5 hours. I cancelled my alarm and I just thought I need to get more sleep. So yeah, I'll leave you with the next update when it comes. So yeah, after spending the last 12 hours inside the boat because rocking too much, I haven't seen the dinghy yet, and it's got quite a bit of water inside her, but I think that's because of the waves splashing against the boat and then into the dinghy. But I mean, the anchor held up. We stayed exactly where we stopped off, even though we may have spun around like a dozen times. The good news is that anchor held up, and it's a really nice day actually. Very, very, very nice day. The wind is pretty favourable, so I'm going to make the most of it. I've lifted the front sail, and now I'm going to lift up the main sail. Honestly, such a workout in itself. Holy crap. Both sails are up, we're on the move again. And the dinghy, I decided to trailer her. So she's getting a lift. I've put my wind jacket back on and my beanie because the more I go out to sea, the colder it gets. But I don't know if you can see on the GoPro, but there's like all these anchored up container ships. I don't know how many you can see. There's probably like 4 there, 1 there, and then like 3 there. But there's something about it that just like seems a bit like ghostly because it's almost like there's nobody there, you know. Obviously they're manned and whatever, they're just taking a break, but it's just like there's something about such a huge man-made vessel just sitting in like a vast open ocean, not moving. And there's loads of them. It's not just 1 or 2. I can see about 7 or 8 right now. Yeah. I need to think of a tiller minder so that my leg doesn't have to constantly be here, so that she keeps going in the direction I want it to go in. Whereas if I let go of my leg, give it like a few seconds and we'll start going in different directions. She's already going left, and yeah, so I need to think of a like contraption. I have to do some research when I get back, but yeah, it's just my my leg is keeping, it's like the cruise control is my leg. I don't know if it's the width or something, it just kind of gives me like Titanic vibes in terms of the size relative. I have no idea, maybe, yeah. Because of all the rocking this morning, I didn't really have time to make, well, I had time, it was just all the rocking. I couldn't make like, you know, like a breakfast sandwich. But now it's like getting to midday and I thought, well, I want something a bit more substantial, so I'm making some Brussels pate on some bread. Very complex, but I'm sure I'll be able to make it just fine. Just me and all these like container ships just chilling. I checked the wind detector app, wind predictor app called Windy, and it mentioned that the wind should pick up to like 12 to 14 knots in like an hour or 2 by lunchtime basically, and it's around midday now, so it'll go from like 1 knot of wind to like 12 knots, which is considerably better. there is the north of the Isle of Wight. We've just come down from the south and the southeast, and yeah, there's a couple sailboats here, there's a couple motorboats, but not very much going on, and the wind is like really low, so I've got the engine on, hopefully gonna engine into Ryde Marina and then set up base again. So recently I painted parts of my boat blue, and I very cleverly decided to keep the paint in the engine and anchor compartment. So I'm covered in blue paint, where obviously as the rocking last night and everything, it would have spilled the paint all over the anchor, and I've had to deploy the anchor to refuel because I'm gonna go next to the hovercrafts and I don't want to have no fuel when I'm going there. And I've got these new pillows and like my clothes, this is my new favorite top, and it's now partly blue, and also my boat. Oh man, yeah, I know for the future now not to store paint in where there could be things that you need very quickly. The good news is I refueled, so the engine has fuel. However, some things have now turned blue. My pillow, my anchor, my seating pillow, my other seating pillow, my glove, my tiller. So yeah, now my next project is going to be paint removal. But yeah, we're nearly there. I may as well get a move on now that I'm not on anchor anymore. Now I'm just going into Ryde Marina, which is over there. That is the Ryde Pier, where you can get a ferry from there. The hovercrafts are just there. I don't know if you can see them on the camera. They should be just there. And there's the marina. I have to try not to beach myself here because I've done that before. I accidentally ran aground because I missed the tide. It was I cut it very fine, and I basically had to wait 12 hours before the tide came back in so I could float again. But I spent 12 hours on the seabed floor here. Well, so I made it back safe and sound, not without a couple hiccups and speed bumps along the way, but nothing that I couldn't survive. Thankfully it went well. It could have gone worse, let's face it. Some things didn't go quite as perfectly as planned. I've had to mostly clean my hands, change my clothes because of the paint situation, and maybe it was a bit rocky last night, but we live and we learn. Other than that, she's safe and sound, so am I. Happy days. Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention, let me know your thoughts of the video down below, and if you have any suggestions or tips, helpful comments, whatever, positive vibes only, let me know in the comments. And yeah, maybe I'll make another video like this in the coming days. I quite enjoy doing it. Quite enjoy the vlogging part. It's even when it doesn't go 100%, it's all still a bit enjoyable one way or another. Yeah, have a good day. Thank you.